Hello everybody, today we're going to be making this beautiful handbag. That's the top, these little bits pop open. It's got like a little hinged effect at the back, look. Sort of flops. And then I've just got to put the inner bag in. I've made one somewhere, I can't find it. But I'm making a little inner bag and sewing around it, you'll see. But yeah, obviously I have to get to the end of the project unless I've made more than one. So this I made up as I went along, so I've had to wait to the end of the video, to the end of all my filming, to then show you what we're going to make. So that's the bag we're making today. It's the handles. I say today, this is a very long project. It's taken me over a week. That's the handles, look. Straps, the bottom and the back. So that's what we're going to make. I'm going to put this into 3 parts because otherwise it's going to be way too long. So it'll be part 1, part 2 and part 3. And in the description of this video, I'll put the other two parts. So that's the bag we're going to make. I'm absolutely in love with it. I think it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love it. And I got the idea from the bracelet tutorial on Elsa's channel. So credit where credit's due. I did this bracelet. She did a double one on her channel like that. So it was 2 rows, like so. So I made myself a single row bracelet from her granny square idea. So from that, I got the inspiration to make this. So I'd like to say a big thank you to Elsa for her bracelet that inspired me. So you're going to need a whole lot of stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you the whole list of materials at the beginning here because, like I said, I made it up as I went along, and I filmed as I went. So you're going to need a whole load of 4mm rondel crystal beads. I got them in all kind of colours. You know, I bought mine. I would recommend, in hindsight now, after I've made the project, getting them all from the same supplier so they're all the same size, because mine came up different sizes. But other than that, yeah. So I would also, you're going to need 11 O-seed beads. You're going to need a small amount of 15 O-seed beads. You're going to need a couple of these 8mm rondel crystals for your clasping. So maybe a piece of felt, and a piece of cotton to make the inner bag, because there's what we attach it to, and then an inner bag. And I also added some lolly sticks between the linings. Obviously you can't see them, inside, just to make it a bit firm. So, but you don't have to do that stage. Each stage, you know, just take what you want from it and make it your own. That's the idea. So you need a size 10 and a size 12 beading needle. You need various threads. I'd recommend a 6-pound fire line for your squares and putting your bag together, and I'd recommend a wildfire for your handle. Although I have to say, I used a roll of Miyuki thread to make my squares. I used this. It's a lot thinner. I really don't like it, but I knew I was going to use a lot, and I used a whole roll of that. No, that's the KO, sorry. Used a whole roll of that. It's very silky, it slips off the needle very easy, so I don't like it, but I thought I'd use it up. And then I used some Miyuki thread, but I only used these because they're cheap, £5 a roll, and I knew I was going to use a lot, and I didn't want to use my expensive fire line. But I would recommend you use a fire line, but it's really up to you what you use. So especially dealing with crystals, you want a good quality thread, because you don't want the crystals to cut your thread. What else do I need? Scissors. You just have to bear with me and be patient. My advice is watch each video, watch the 3 parts, watch it all through, then make sure you've got all the materials. Make a list as you're watching through, because I tell you as I go along. Because like I said, I just made it up as I went along. I didn't have a plan, I didn't have a pattern, I just had an idea in my head. and you know, making it reality is a different thing. So it's normally I would make a project 4 or 5 times before I do a video, so that I'm very familiar with the pattern, I know all the materials and all that sort of thing. But this one I made up as I went along, so if you're going to watch the videos, you have to bear with me, and it's a discovery journey as I went along. So maybe watch through each video, make a material list, make sure you know what's involved, so that you know you can decide whether you want to take it on or not. But it's a long project. It's going to take you at least a week. I'm just doing a bit each day. So that's materials I can think of so far. So I'm going to splice this in, and then we'll go ahead and start the tutorials, which, like I say, I filmed as I went along. So yeah, it's not your regular tutorial. Okay guys, I hope you enjoy, and I hope you do make the handbag. It's a long project, but very satisfying, really worthwhile. And if you do make one, please do email me with your project so I can see what you've made. I'd love to see what you've made. So without further ado, let's get into that video. There you go, that's what we're making. Okay, so I'm making the handbag, which I said I was going to make, and any of you who've seen the videos, I did this bracelet and this bracelet, and I did some rings. So if you've followed the ring tutorial, you already know how to make the squares. So if you already know how to make the squares, you can move on to the part of the video where we start joining them together and making the bag and whatnot. But yeah, or you can watch it again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some of these to start with. Some of these little squares, which they're really, I think they're really cute, in all different colours. So many different combinations you can make. So there's a few. So that's what we're going to do to start with. We're going to make a granny square, and I'm not going to go super slow, like as if you're a super beginner, because if you look in the description below the video, in the description, there'll be a link for this ring, the tutorial for this ring, and it's exactly the same as these squares, you see. So if you've done the ring, you can, you already know how to make the square. And if you haven't done the ring, and this is too fast for you, go and look in the description below and watch that video on this one, because it's much slower for beginners and whatnot. So if you unsure, go watch that video first and then come and watch this one. So I'm going to make a square, show you how you make your square. So I'm going to take 4 of our 4mm rondels, and you can use either rondels or pearls, or you're going to have to experiment with your beads and see what works, because sometimes the rondels come up different sizes, they won't all be the same. So if you want to make something like this, I suggest buying them all from the same source, so that all your beads are the same size. I source them from different places, and some of them are not the same as others, so that does make it a little bit difficult. So you're going to take beads, 4mm beads of your choice, whether they're round or rondels. Take 4 of those 4mm beads, join them into a circle, and then we're just going to scoop through a bead here to pull our knot inside our beadwork, like so. We're going a little bit closer. There you go. And then I'm going to add 1 seed bead in between each of those. And like I say, we're just running through this fairly quickly, because there is a video in the description below which is much more detailed, a lot slower, so you can go and follow that one if you want to. At this point you could do another knot, but I'm not going to for the purpose of the video. But you could do an extra knot before you add this bead, just to secure that a bit more. You should have that now, and you should be coming out with your seed bead. So 11 seed beads. Now I'm going to pick up a different colour. You don't have to pick up a different colour, you could use the same colour. So I'll pick up 4 of your seed beads and then go through, I'm jumping from green seed bead to green seed bead. So I'm going to do that all the way around. Like so. And like I said, there will be that detailed video in the description if you can't keep up with this one. This is quite a big project, so I'm assuming if you're going to tackle this, you've been beading for a while. Also, you could make, from this video as well, you can make a bracelet, because I'll be showing you how to join them together. So you don't have to make the bag, you could just make a bracelet or a couple of bracelets or whatever. So right, then we go through the last of those green 11-Os. Oops. You're adding 4 each time. Oops, I've only got 3, haven't I? Oops, good job it didn't go through. So you're adding 4 each time. And just that last green one, and then up 2 of the gold. Just up 2 of those gold. And then I think we'll do cream, why not? So cream and the green. So I'm going to add a cream in the 8-O and a green in the 11-O. Coming up those 2 beads. Now I'm going to pull this down to my work. Skip the green, go down the 8-O, and then go down 2 of your 11-Os. And you should have that like a little pointy bit sticking up. Then take your next bead, which will be an 8-O. Coming up here, jump across, fill the gap and go through 2. Every time we're just going through 2, so that makes it easier. So if you don't have 2 beads in between what you're adding, then you've gone wrong. An 8-O and an 11-O, down to your work, down through the 8, skip the 11, down through the 8, up through 2 11s. Like so. Take another 8. Don't worry if it feels a bit loose at this point, it'll tighten up. Take an 8, we're coming up these 2 here. Jump across and go up 2. And as you will see, the pattern's starting to grow. We're just filling in these gaps. So 1 8, 1 11. Bring them down to your work. Skip the 11, down the 8, up to 11s. Take another 8-O, coming out of these 2, tail. Coming up these 2 here, go up the next 2 11-Os, bridge that gap. Oops, don't tangle. Bridge the gap. One 8-O and 1 11-O. Pull them down to your work. Skip the 11, down the 8 and up the 2 11s. And then 1 8-O coming up here, jump across, go on up through the 8-0, and then the 11-0. I need to cough, hang on, I'll be back. Sorry about that. Still not quite shaken off the remnants of the COVID. It's still lingering, like COVID does. And I think we need some more gold. Hang on, let's grab a couple more gold. I think we use gold. Or we could use a bright colour. Let's have a look what we got. Let's do something bright, shall we? Why not? I won't use the gold. I'm going to use these just for fun. Right. So we've got this far. We're going to take size 8-0 and one of your 4mm beads, whether it's a pearl or a rondel. And if you watch the video on the ring, it explains a bit more about how the different beads turn out, so it depends what you use. So right now we've got an 8-0 and a rondel. We're coming out of this little bead here, the 11. Just go down the 8, like so. And then this time we're going to pick up a rondel. And an 8-0. I think my tummy's growling for food. Right. Like so. And we're just going to do that all the way around. So it's 1 8-0, 1 4mm, 1 4mm, 1 8-0. So like that alternately. Oh, I like those colours. So 8 and one of my little crystals, rondels. And I wouldn't recommend using a fire polish for this because it's going to change the shape. It's not going to work out right, same as I wouldn't use a bicone. So just keep going like that all the way around. Like so. Like so, if this is a little bit too fast for you and not enough explanation, go and look at the ring, because it's more in depth, it's a lot slower, it's more beginner friendly. Whereas this one I'm just kind of steaming through. So, and this time we're going to go up through the seed bead and the 8 beside it, through the 11 and the 8. As you can see now we've joined that all the way around, filling in our gaps. What have I done there? Got caught. Oh dear, I've tangled. There we go. Right, so you'll have that. And then you're coming out of this 8, go down between these two 4mm beads. And then we're just going to add 1 11-0 like so, and then 3 11-0s, and this is going to be our final edge. So we're just going to keep going around like that. So it's 3 on the corner and 1 on the flat edges, like so. So 1 on the side, in between your rondels. Go through to the 8. And then 3 11-0s And just keep doing that all the way around. 1 on that side, 3 on the corner. So it's going to make our little corners, you see. Now if you're making a ring, it doesn't matter what colour beads you do around this edge. You could, you know, you add even yet another colour. But I'm doing all mine in bronze, because if you want to do a bag, or if you want to do the bracelet actually, if you want to do the bracelet, and you're going to join them together, aren't you? And you want these pieces that join in between to match. So if you're going to be making the bracelet or the bag, make sure your edge row, your very last row, which is this one, and the corners, each corner and this one, are the same colour as all your others, so that when you join them together, you know, it's all going to match in with each other. So keep that in mind, depending what you're making. Obviously it's a ring, it doesn't matter, because I'm not going to attach to anything, so you can just do, you know, as many different colours as you like. But I'm obviously making a bag, so I want to join mine all together. Right, let's get this square finished. And we've only got, how many to go? I don't know. It's going to be, say, 25, 50, 60, 70, 90 squares I think I'm going to have to make for the bag. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Sounds very daunting. 90! Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to work at it, aren't I? 1, 2, 3. So that's the square. That's all there is to it. And then you're going to tie off your thread, go through an extra bead. Sorry, I'm going to have to cough again. This is why I hate the COVID so much, because personally for me, it lingers and lingers and lingers. And I have this deep husky voice for, you know, weeks. In fact, I've had it 3 times now, and I don't think my voice has ever had time to go quite back to normal. And just as I start to recover completely, feel 100%, I get it again. It's ridiculous. So yeah, tie a knot, go through a few more beads, and do a couple of knots. And depending on what thread you're using, if you're using Fireline, you probably won't need to, but I've used this thread, this Japanese thread. And the main reason I did was because I've had a few rolls of thread like this. I've got some Miyuki thread, some, you know, various different types. And I just prefer Fireline. Everything I've experimented with, I prefer the Fireline. But if you are using a different thread, and I'm using this one purely for the fact that Fireline costs an absolute fortune, and because I'm going to be making so many of these, 90, that's a lot of Fireline, probably use up a whole roll, and it's very expensive. I can't afford to do that, so I'm going to use up all these threads that I don't like so much on making the handbag, because it's going to have some fabric on the inside which is going to reinforce it, and I'll have to show you as I go along. There's going to be a bead in the middle of each one of these, which is going to attach it to a lining as well, so it's all going to help to strengthen it. But because this thread's a lot more flimsy than the Fireline, I'm just going around the entire thing. So if yours aren't that tight, depending on the thread you've used, you can always just go around the entire square doing little knots, exactly like I'm doing now. You know, like if your corners are a bit loose, you don't want them loose, because when you come to join them together with the other squares, you want them really nice and tight. So that's one thing I learned from making the first bracelets. So if you use a different thread, it's not a Fireline, because Fireline does tend to stiffen up your work nicely. Just go around making knots under your thread bridge like that all the way around. So until you've gone around your entire square, all 4 corners. So, and knotting as you go. This will This will tighten up your work, keep your corners nice and stiff, so that when you go to join them together with the others, you're not going to have any problems. So yeah, I think this is the last corner anyway. I think I've been around 4 times already, but it's fine. If I've done one extra, I don't mind. So yeah, just do that all the way around. And you can choose now with the tail, you can choose what you want to do. You can cut that tail off before you start doing your square, because it does get in the way a bit. But I like to leave mine on to the end just in case. When you've been beading a while, you'll know what I mean by just in case. But the way this pattern works, you shouldn't need, see how all your knots have gone inside your beadwork. So you shouldn't need to put that onto a needle and thread it through. But if you really want to, you can leave a longer tail, put your needle on, and go through and make a few knots to reinforce the middle. But I don't actually think that's necessary, to be honest, especially if you're joining them all together. So you can just go ahead and cut them off. And like I say, you could have cut that off at an earlier stage, but... And there you have your little square. So, yeah, I'm going to go away and make a whole bunch of those. And once you've made a bunch, we start joining them together. So you could have a double row bracelet, or let's zoom out. You could have a double row bracelet, or you could have a single row bracelet like these, or you could have a ring, or you could be crazy like me and go ahead and make 90 of these, and yeah, make yourself a handbag. So stay tuned, and we will go along to the next stage. I might show you some in between stages. So you've got to make a lot of these, and you could make more or less depending on what shape and size you want to make your handbag. So there's no rules, it's entirely up to you what you do with it. I'm just showing you what I've made, and then you can go and take away from that and make, you know, whatever you want with it. So that's the whole idea, you know, go away, make it your own, do your own thing. You could make a whole bag entirely of the exact same colour all over, you know, like 90 of this, just this colour, and the whole bag would be uniformed. But I'm going to do mine loads and loads of colours, like a granny square blanket would look. You have lots of different colours. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and make a bunch more, and I'll get back to you very soon. Okay, so we're back and we've made all our squares. So I've used a whole roll of this thread, an entire roll, and then started on a second roll. And now to join them together, I'm going to change colour. So what I'm going to show you next is how to join them in strips. Because before we join them together, we have to put them in strips like this. So I've gone ahead, and mine are all done. Well, not all of them, but most of them. So those strips are all done. I'll take you in for a zoom in, because what I've done, I've actually done a slight change on the beads, because I found that, let's just zoom in. So I've done my squares. What I found was, this is the bottom piece. I've joined these pieces together already. You can see it's got those bits in the middle. So I'm going to teach you how to join, how to make the strips, like so, and then how to join them together, like so. and then I'm stitching them to a piece of backing fabric just to stiffen them up, and then I'm going to do an inner bag. And I don't know if you can see, done little beads in here to, one, it helped attach, and two, I thought it looked really pretty. So, but what I found was I followed the Elsa's pattern, and can you see how they're bunching up in here? These beads are bunching, and also I found it's a bit the same with the bracelet. I just didn't, can you see how they sit? They don't necessarily, some of them sit straight, some of them do, but some of them bunch, and some of the edges don't look very straight. So what I've done is I've switched it up, and I've used some 11-ohs, some 15-ohs when I'm joining them together. So I'm just going to go ahead and thread my needle, and then which way was that? That way, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle, and then we're going to use these side pieces because I haven't joined these ones yet, and I'll show you how to join them in strips. And you can see how neat, look, how neatly they join together. So yeah, I'm just going to thread my needle, and I'll be right back, and then we will do the strips together. I already actually had a needle threaded, I didn't realise. So I've stacked my others up just to get them out of the way, and we're going to do the side panels. So I'm just going to move that group aside because I want them to be the same on each side, so I'm going to keep them in order. In fact, I'm going to start with these ones because they're lighter colours, always easier to see the lighter colours. Right, so we're going to zoom in. Let's do these ones first. Zoom in. Well, I've got my needle attached to my thread. I'm going to start with the yellow. Oh, those workmen, can you believe it? As soon as I start filming, they haven't made a sound all morning. Unreal. Right, so we're going to attach a thread, and I'm not sure, I did think about leaving threads when I finish a square, leaving a thread dangling for joining, but it got too messy and too confusing, so just having loads of threads hanging everywhere. So I'm going to attach a piece of thread just like so, and I've attached mine along the thread bridge here. So we've got a little, just go under the thread bridge, tie a little knot, and add a piece of thread. Get your tail out of the way. And we want to go up through the beads after we've done our knot. Until we're coming out of this middle 11-oh seed bead here. This one here. They come out of there. And this is where I'm going to change, I'm going to swap, instead of doing the 11-ohs like the lady did in her original one, I'm changing it for 15-ohs. So we're going to take a 15-oh, we're coming up this point here, this little bead at the top. Let's take the 15-oh, we're going to pull that down to there, and then I'm going to take my next square, I'm going to go down through this one, just through that 11-oh there, and then I'm going to pull that down. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Pull it down. You've got that little one in the middle, look. So pull that down. I'll leave it open for a minute so you can see where I'm going with this. There's your little bead there that you've added. Now we're coming out of here, of this 11-oh. Pick up another 15. And then I'm going to go back up through that 11-oh. So we've come out the 11-oh, added a 15, gone down through this 11-oh, added another 15, and then back up through this 11-oh, like so. And then just pull it up, look, and you've got that. And I found that the 15s, they just sit nicely. You may have to experiment with yours. It depends on your rondels. I just, you know, maybe Elsa had different rondels from me, but I couldn't get them to sit nicely without them bunching up, so that these ones are sticking out. So that's why I changed them for the 15s. So then we're going to go up through the crystal, the rondel, up through the 8/0 and up through one of the 11/0s, like so. And pull that nice and tight, so that tightens up this bit here. So now we're coming out of that 11/0 there. I'm going to pick up another 11/0, and we're going to skip that first bead on the corner. We're going to go down that second one. And then I've gone through the 8/0 as well, which is good. That's what we want to do. Go through that 8/0. What we're actually going to do is go all the way down to the other end. So coming up the 8/0, go up the crystal, so the rondel or the pearl or whatever it is you're using. I appreciate that you might have different beads in your stash, and I do encourage anyone to try different beads, try different combinations and stuff, because you might find a combination that works even better. Who knows? It's a bit fiddly. I should have tried to get it up both at the same time, really. It's quite tight now. An arm's length, it's really hot. So I'm going to have to look at this bead and get up close with it. I can't see the hole. That's so annoying. I can't get in the hole. There we go. So up your crystal. It could be a bit tight at this point because, you've worked through these beads quite a bit now, but that's what you want. You don't want it baggy. So coming through the crystal and then back up through that 11/0 here. Up through your next crystal and the 8/0 and the 11/0 if you can. All the way up to there. Not that corner one. This one here below it. All the way up. And again, pull it nice and tight. You want nice tight tension at this point. So we're coming up this second one here, not the top corner one. That one below it. Pick up your 11. And then we're going to go skip that first one and go down the second 11/0 through the 8 and hopefully through the crystal as well. Yeah, all the way through, like so. And pull that nice and tight. Keep that tension nice and tight. And don't worry if it looks like there's a dip, because we're going to be joining our strips together. And there's going to be beads in there. And on the other end, we'll be finishing that off at the end. I'll show you how. So we're coming up the crystal. You go up the 11. Up the next crystal if you can. If you can get it all in one. You want to come out. Try and get up all the beads if you can. All the way to that one that's second from the end. Oh no, we don't actually. I want to come out on the... Sorry, no I don't. I want to come out with the 8/0. Or the crystal. You can come out with the crystal or the 8/0. Either one will do. Because now pull it nice and tight so you've got good tension. And then we're just going to tie a knot in this thread bridge. So you can either do it on this one or this one. Either one really doesn't matter. As long as you get your knot in there. So go under your thread bridge. Up through the loop. And make a little knot there. And then just go through 1 or 2 beads. I've gone up through those 2, look. And then cut that off. And I haven't found a way to go from one, you know, to use one thread and just keep going all the way around, because I don't want to get too thick and bulk out my beads with loads of thread, because I've still got to, you know, add some more beads and do some more work on it. So, you know, you could probably find a way to go all the way around and end up where you want to be, but I haven't as yet worked out how to do that without putting too much thread in my beads, and I don't want to not be able to get through the beads and then crack one. So I'll show you that again. So what we're going to do is add another one, and we're just going to keep going like that until you've got, you know, your rows of 5. And yeah, it's quite a long job, but it's sort of quick and easy. But obviously you've got 80 of these to do, so I'll show you again. I'm going to go up under the thread bridge, and I'm going in between the 8/0 and the crystal, like so, and then tie one small knot. And because this is obviously not going to be a bracelet, it's going to be a bag, one small knot would be okay. I think it would for a bracelet too, to be honest. And yeah, this, if you can make, this is exactly the same way you make the bracelet. So if you want to make a bracelet and not a bag, you can use this exact same pattern that I'm doing here. So we've tied our knot, we've gone through the crystal, and you want to be coming out of this one here, this 11/0, in between the crystals, and like so. So yeah, from this, what I'm doing here today, you'll be able to make the bracelet or the bag. It's exactly the same for the bracelet, whether you want a single bracelet like this one, or if you wanted a double row bracelet, it would be still the same, you know, but without the backing, obviously. So stick with it, and you could have a beautiful bracelet, or you could make this lovely bag that I'm going to make. So right, we're coming out the top of that 11/0 here, and this is where we use the 15s. We pick up another 15/0, and like I say, do play around with your pattern, because depending on the size of your crystals, because mine have come up quite uneven, to be honest. I bought them from different suppliers. I would advise getting all of them from the same supplier so they're all an even size, because mine are a bit uneven, which is maybe why the 11/0s don't sit nicely in here. So I'm using 15s. So we're going to add that 15/0, and obviously you're not going to have yours laying down on the table, but I'm doing that so you can see what I'm doing, but you hold yours however feels comfortable. So yeah, we're coming out the top of this, add a 15/0, take another square and go down any one of these sides. I'm going to go down through that 11/0, like so. And that one sits there like so. As you can see, we're just bridging them and joining it together like a loop. Then we'll take another 15/0, and then we're going to back up through our original 11/0. I'm going to try if I can go through. I'm going to go through the crystal, the 8/0, and one of the 11/0s. If I can go through all. No, I'm coming out the 8/0, but that's fine. And then we're going to pull that thread. And the reason I've left it on the table is so that you can see how it joins up. So it's just going in a little loop, look. And that just pops together like so. And that sits really nicely in between the rondels. Like I say, I think the 11/0s are too big to sit, and it really does sit wonky. So I would advise 15/0s at this point. So for anyone I've sent over to Elsa's channel who's tried using her pattern, let me know what you thought, because I've had a few people ask me if I can do the bracelet because they couldn't follow her tutorial. They found it a little bit difficult and confusing. So I'm happy to do a bracelet tutorial as well, if anybody wants one. But you should, like I say, be able to do it from this. If you can't and you want, you know, a separate tutorial for the bracelet, I'm happy to do one. Right, so we've ended up coming out of the 11-0 here. We skip that corner one, so it's the second one in, and go down that second one in. So you're just mirroring what's on the other side. Go down through the 11, through the 8, up through the crystal, like so. Oh, my needles come off my throat, off my work. That's the other thing is, the reason why I don't like these threads, and I prefer, well, not the reason, there's several. One of the reasons I prefer the Fireline is that it doesn't slip off your needle so easily. These are a bit more silky, so they tend to slide off your needle when you're working, and it happens a lot, and it's really irritating. Can't seem to get it in there. There we go. Yeah, and that, this one, whatever it's called, KO, that was super silky, and it was slipping off my needle every 5 minutes. It drove me insane. So yeah, I don't like that one. I think the Miyuki thread, this one I'm using now is Miyuki thread. It's a bit better than that other one, but still not quite as good as the Fireline. Right, so we're coming up the crystal. Sorry, I'm prattling on, aren't I? I tried to give you all the information, but right, so then we're going in through the 11-0, in through the crystal, the 8-0, and then 1 11-0 at the end. Alright, pull that nice and tight. Then take an 11-0. And we're coming out of that one that's second from the end. We're going to jump across and go into this one, skipping that corner one. Again, mirroring what we've done on the other side. And then we're going to go in through the 11, through the 8, and hopefully up through the crystal. Down through the 11. I didn't manage to get through the crystal up as well either, never mind. And then up through the crystal, and if you go through the 8-0 it really doesn't matter, but there you go, I've come through the crystal. And then here we do another knot under the thread bridge, through the loop. Oops. Thread slipped across. Make sure you don't go across like that. Do your knot up through the 8, and I'm just gonna, yeah, that'll do. Just one will do, and then snip that off and snip that off. Now if you were making the bracelet, on one of these ends you could leave a long tail so that you're ready to come out and start joining these. I would recommend on this one you could leave a tail, like with this one for instance. The one that I've joined together already, that's obviously the bottom of the bag, so it's going to face that way up, but it's going to have to join to these, well, what will be the sides. So I've left a thread, got a long one, so that when it's time to start joining the actual piece together, I've already got a thread here. I don't have to tie another thread on. So you could always leave a thread on the end of one of your pieces of work, and you can just weave it through to where you want it to come out from. So that's what I would recommend. So yeah, that's how you join them together to make the strips. If you need to, you can go back and watch that again. But keep going. Join all your pieces together till you've got them all, like mine, in rows of 5, all stitched like that. And then I will show you how to join 2 of these together. So I'm just going to go away and finish up joining these. I'm going to do all these and these. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 to go. So I'm going to join those 4 strips, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to actually join the strips together, you know, in pieces like that. So you've got this piece here done where they all join. Yeah, we'll do that bit next, and then I'll show you how to join them to the backing fabric in the sections and what sections I'm going to do, and then we'll go from there. Okay, right, I will, yeah, finish these until everything's all in strips, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the next bit. Okay, so I've gone ahead and joined this section, but before I show you how to do it, I wanted to show you what it looked like. So that's a whole piece, look. I don't know if you can sort of see through it a bit. But see how lovely that lays? So that's what we're going to do next, join them so that it almost looks like fabric. Look at the movement. Feels absolutely lovely. I love the feel, I love the sound, I love everything about the beads. Can you see through the shape there how neat that looks? And the thing was, not knocking Elsa at all, because this is where I got the idea from Elsa's channel to do these squares. She had on her channel a bracelet which was double like this, like 2 rows. So yeah, so it was kind of like that. But I've changed some of the beads because I think it sits kind of wonky and bunched up here. Can you see where these pieces bunch? Let's go in a bit. So if you did follow her tutorial, mine's actually different because I've used different beads here. I just switched them up to make it a bit more even. So can you see the difference? And how these ones, where I've changed those beads in here, it sits much more uniformed and neat. I'm such a perfectionist. It has to look exactly right or I'm not happy. And there was something about the bracelet I wasn't happy with. And now that I've switched up those beads, yeah, I'm totally happy with that. So go ahead and thread up your needles, and I'm going to show you how to join them together. So we're going to do one sheet like this, then that's going to be the front, and then we're going to do another one's going to be the back. We're going to do, hang on, let's go back out. I'm doing it again, aren't I? So yeah, one for the front, and then one for the back, and we've got our bottom piece, and then we've got 2 sides. So we're going to do exactly the same with each piece. Yeah, this is the same look. You can see, go in close. See how these are all bunched up here and here? They're sort of bobbling. It just doesn't sit so neatly. That was what I did following the way Elsa did it. So I've switched it up. I think it looks much neater like that. I've changed the beads a little bit. Not too much, it's just a couple of beads. A couple of beads makes all the difference. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to do this bit next. So go ahead and thread your needles. I've actually got a size 12 beading needle. I've gone down to a thinner needle because I'm just a little bit worried about how tight I'm going to be going through my beads. But so far I haven't had any trouble or got to the point where I thought I'm going to break a bead. And as you saw at the beginning, I went around mine twice because I'm using a thinner thread, just purely because I've just bought a new roll of file line, and I want to keep that for making jewellery because it's so much stronger. And this, you know, is going to all be attached to fabric, so it won't be so... I'm going to try and start with the lighter one because it's so hard to show you with the dark colours. Yeah, let's start from this side. Let's do it this way round. Just turn them all over. Do it that way because I want them to be the same. I want it to be symmetrical, you know, so the back and the front have the same colour scheme. But I might do them opposite ways. So one sits that way, one sits that way. We'll see. Anyway, right, this is how we join them together. I'm going to start by adding a thread. And you should be able to, once you've put one thread on, you should be able to go all the way down the row and fit, and, you know, do a row at a time instead of joining like we did with the single strip. And even the single strip, look how much neater that sits. It's so much neater than these. See how they curl up? This one doesn't sit straight, look. It's kind of wonky, which I didn't like. So yeah, this way it's all going to sit nice and flat. So take your needle, and exactly the same as we did last time, we're going to join our thread. And I'm joining under the crystal there. So go under the, through the thread bridge, tie your little knots. And this is going to be exactly the same whether you're making the bracelet or whether you want to make the bag. And I'm going to make it so that it's got a little clasp at the top, which will be very much similar to the clasp on the bracelet. So you will be able to make both items from this one video if you want to. So once we've done our knot, go on up through your beads so that you're coming out of that little 11-0 there. I'm praying that the builder man doesn't go and get his power tools out because he was being really noisy earlier. I'm trying to take a quiet window where he's not noisy. Right, so this is where I've switched it up. We're going to take, same as we did here, 15-0. We're going to pull that one down, like so. And obviously you're not going to be doing yours flat on the table like this. I'm just doing this so you can see clearly what I'm doing. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Alright, so coming out with the top of the seed bead here, we've added our 15. Then we're going to go down through that seed bead there. I do it with my left hand. I'll just turn it for a minute. Down through that one. I was going to try and do it with my left hand just so it would be easier to see, but I'm not that ambidextrous. So again, I'm just doing it on the mat so you can clearly see where I'm going with that. So we've come out of this one, added an 11 and gone in down through that one. I mean a 15, sorry. Take another 15-0 and then go back up that same seed bead, the 11. It's going to be a little bit tight at this point, which is why I've changed for a size 12 beading needle. And then I'm going to go up and hopefully, yep, come out through that second from end, not the corner one. Just like we did when we were joining the single rows together, to be honest. That's the same stitch. Pull them in. And you see you've got that nice little grouping there that sits lovely. And those 11, oh gosh, those 15-0s here make it sit much neater. That's what changes the whole thing. It's just made it completely different. So I'm going to pick up my work. Right, now we're coming out of this bead here. We're going to do the same as we did for the single row. Take 1, 11, and then skip the corner bead, skip the one in the corner. Is that focusing or not? I think I've gone in a bit too close. When you go too close, that's it. It can be a bit blurry. Right, so coming out of that bead there, skip the first one and go down that second 11-0. So it's so hard to do this at arm's length because it is tight now. Right, so we've gone down that second 11. Go down through your beads. Now join that together. And what we're going to do is we're going to go down all the way through these beads, keep going until we come out right here. Not the corner one, which will be the one before your 8-0, the one before it. So I'm just going to thread through those beads. So I'm coming out with the crystal, so I need to go down the 11-0, up the crystal, through the 8-0, and that's coming out through 2 of those 11-0s. That's fine, go through that as far as it will go. You don't want to miss any beads. Right, and then we've got 2 more here, or 3 more. That's the middle one there, look. This one's going to move around a bit, look. You see how it can, it's a bit wobbly, and this is what stiffens everything up. So go through that little one here, and then that one there. So you're coming out the one before the end. Pull your thread through. I'm just going to tuck that tail under there. Right, so now we're coming out of this bead here. This bead here. What we're going to do, take another 11-0, and as if we're like in a mirror, we're mirroring. We're coming up this bead, we're going to jump to the opposite side and go in the same bead. So not that corner one that's sitting next to the 8-0, not that one, the one next to it. So go down between these two, like so. Down that one, up the middle, and then up to the one before the end. So you're going through 3. See that? And pull. And you see now that's popped that bead in between here. Now we're going to do the same again. Coming out of this bead here. So we're going to mirror, we're going to jump to the other side. We're going to skip the corner one and go down this one. So I'm going to pick up the 11. I'm just going to turn my work so that I can reach the piece I need. So again, coming out of this bead here, jump across the other side and go down that one. Skip that one, so you're in between them. Down that one, and the one beside it. Pull. And there, can you see you have now made this little unit. Now if I was doing the bracelet, I would come out of this bead here and then go back around, back around, back around, and then back up, because you want that to be nice and firm if you're wearing that as a bracelet. It's obviously going to get more wear and tear, but because I'm stitching this to a piece of fabric, I'm only going to go around once. I don't need to reinforce it, so Then what I'm going to do, I'll show you that one more time, is go down the 8/0 seed bead, down the crystal, and up the 11/0. Once you've done it a few times, it'll get easier. It looks a bit confusing at first, but you'll get it. It's not that hard. So, again, we're coming out of our 11/0 here. This is where we've switched it up. We pick up the 15s, take a 15/0, go up through that 11, like anything, once you get into a rhythm with the pattern, you know, it gets easier. Pull that one up, take another 15/0, pull it apart so you can see what I've done. So that's the 15 between those two, coming out of this side of the 11 here. I'm going to go down the other one on the opposite side, back down the 11, and if you can do it in one, get down that crystal as well. If not, just go through the 11. Try not to tangle everything up like I'm doing. It's getting caught on all the corners. This always happens when you're filming. Right, there we go. And pull. See, that's sitting nicely in a little around there. And then I'm coming out of the 11/0. So sorry, I keep saying the wrong number. And then we're going to go down this row of beads again through the crystal, the 8/0, and I've gone through one of the 11s, look. So we now have that. Right, we're going to do it one more time and show you. So go down these 11s. So we've got coming up this one here. Go down another one. And 2. 2, 3. Just be going through 4 of them. If you can't do them all in one go, just don't worry, just do them a few at a time. There, coming out of those beads there, so you've done all those. Give it a little tug, tighten everything up, and we're now coming out from this bead here, not the corner one, which is the one next to your 8/0, the one before it. We'll do the same again. We're going to pick up an 11/0, one 11/0, and we're going to mirror across to the other side. So coming out of this bead here, I'm going to jump across to the same bead on the other side, missing that corner one that sits next to your 8/0. Mine's gold. So then you've got one 11 and another 11. We're going to go down that second one. And then the one after it. Oops, where's the middle one? That's the middle one. Push that up. See how these they do move, because that's the one you joined on the last row going down that way. So make sure you do pick all those beads up. Hang on, where's my thread coming? Yeah, make sure you pick them all up. So we're coming out of this one. We're not coming out of that one, sorry, yeah. So go across, down 1, That one's a bit lower, so we're going to pick that up there. 3. So we've gone through 3 beads. Make sure you go through 3. Like I say, that middle one will be sort of moving around. Got the 3. Trying to go as slow as I can, take my time, so you can really clearly see what I'm doing. Because it's a bit hard with the darker beads, that's the other thing. Chosen bronze. Right, so you can see now, hold it like that so you can see in the light. Got that one now joining across, now we've got to do another one across here. So, I'm going to pick up our 11-0, 1 11-0. And we're coming out of this bead here, not that corner one because you've got your 8-0 here, mine's gold, look. 8-0 and then your 2 11s, not that first one, the second one, we're coming up that one there. See? And then we're going to mirror, jump to the other side, miss the 8-0, miss the first 11-0, go down that second 11-0, picking up your beads. Now like I say, if you were going to do this on the bracelet, you would come out here. So let's just say we were doing the bracelet. You can see now the pattern. So if you were doing the bracelet, for instance, you're coming out of here, you would go back down here, through that one and then back across here and then back up there and then continue. But because we're doing it on the bag, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go all the way through to the next part. So I'm coming out of that one, go down that last 11-0, and then come out at the next 11-0. Which almost looks like I've used a 15 there, I hope not. It's just me, I'm going bead blind. When I bead too long, it starts to all merge into one and I can't see which ones are which. I call it bead blindness, right. So there you go, that's how you join them together. I hope twice is going to be enough and that you can get the idea from that. You can see how it sits, look. And then you're going to continue. So add your 15s and go there. And then we come down again. Make sure you're coming out between the 2 there. Add your bead, jump across, go down to this one. Add your bead, jump across. That's just going to keep doing that all the way down until you've got a whole piece like that all put together. So, and then once we've done that, once you've joined it together, we're going to add the backing fabric. So I'll show you how to do that bit next. Go ahead and join all your bits until they're like that. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to join all the pieces together and do the backing fabric. Okay guys, hope that was clear. Yeah, and like I say, if anyone does want me to do the bracelet tutorial, I can do a bracelet. I think I'll do one anyway, why not? It'll be fun, won't it? So yeah, keep going like that. If you get lost, just, rewind, go back, have another look again. But, once you get that pattern in your brain, it's not that hard. I know it looks a little bit, it's a bit fiddly, but you can see where I'm coming out of and where I'm going in, look. So yeah, just keep going like that until you've joined all your squares, and then we'll come back and show you the next stage. Okay guys, and if you've got this far, well done. Because yeah, I mean, it's not that hard. I do think it starts to get, the rhythm goes and you start to get faster and faster. It didn't take me that long, to be honest, to join all these together. So yeah, but if you've got that far, well done, because it is a long project. It requires a lot of patience, so keep going, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it's going to be so worth it, because it's going to be absolutely beautiful at the end. So right, keep going guys, I'll see you all soon. Right, for this next part, I'm going to show you how I did the backing and the joining. It's up to you though, there's no actual rules, as with all the beading. You know, I'm just showing you what I've done, and you can go away, make it your own, do what you want with it. Same as what I did. I saw a video for the bracelet and I've changed a few beads, adapted it, and I'm going to make a bag with it. So, excuse me, sorry, I've got a bit of a dry throat. So yeah, but what I'm going to do is I've added my fabric first. You might want to join your bag together first, but for me, I think that's the easiest way for me, because what I want to do as well is I want to make the fabric a tiny bit wider than what I actually need it, to account for the fact that once you join these strips together, obviously there's going to be that little space in between, and then I'm going to trim it afterwards. So I'm going to make it slightly bigger than what I actually need it. And how you measure and cut and whatever is, I really should take this away and do it all on this board, but because we're videoing here, obviously I'd have to clear off my board, put it all back, you know, all that. So what I'm just going to do is set it like that, so it's just away in frame. It's so hard when you're videoing, I swear, because you have to do everything at arm's length. You can't see the camera. Is that all in? Yeah, right, that's in. So what I'm going to do is just make it slightly bigger than what I need it, and then when I join my panels together, I'll fold that out the way, you know, to join that panel to that panel. But then once it's joined and there's that gap, that bit inside will sort of fold around. When your bag folds around, you'll have a bit inside, so you won't have a gap showing, if that makes sense. So I'm going to cut each panel like that, so it's just not too much, not a huge amount, just a little bit like that, all the way around, so it's slightly bigger. Cut yourself a little panel, and then you're going to do the same for the bottom, and then the same for the two side sections. There's going to be two of those. Those are the bits that are going to go up the sides there. So we're going to do it exactly the same way for all those sections, except for the sides and the bottom I've done flush, but the actual front and the back panels I'm going to make them slightly bigger to account for going around that corner piece when we join it. So go ahead and cut yourself a piece of backing, felt or any material that's going to make it firm. This is just to sort of firm it up so that when I join it all together and it's a one piece, you know, a bag all in one piece, it's just going to help keep it firm so it all stays in place. And then I'm going to make another little inner bag to go inside out of cotton. So this is just a backing. You maybe want to use a different kind of fabric. The reason I've used felt is because felt doesn't fray, so I won't have to do any seaming or edging. It will just, I can trim it where I want it to go and just leave it there. Don't have to do a hem. So go ahead and cut your backing material. I would suggest felt. So I went away to the other table and I've cut mine. Mine's a little bit big, but it really doesn't matter, like I say, because we're going to trim that up. We're going to trim the top flush, whichever is going to be your top end. And then, yeah, these are going to just fit, and you'll see. But we can trim it, so it doesn't matter if it's a bit wonky. If you've cut it crooked like me, it's a bit jagged here, and it's not perfect the size you want it, it really doesn't matter. So like I say, we're gonna sort that out. Oh damn, I haven't got a size 10 needle threaded. I'm just gonna thread up a needle. Sorry guys for the delay. Right, as I'm threading up this needle, what else? Oh my god, those builders. I'll be back in a minute. I've figured out the pattern now of the builder. He's cutting tiles to go on the roof. So he cuts about 4 or so, and then he goes up and puts them on. So I've got like a window of a couple of minutes each time while he's loading his tiles. So take your thread and attach it to your fabric. Just going to go through the fabric a few times and then do a couple of little knots so it's, you know, firmly attached to my fabric before I start adding my piece. So that's a good few times. go through to the back. I'm now coming up the back there. So all I'm going to do is take my work, put it on the top, and in order to tack it down, we're going to be using some little seed beads. So we'll just say a green, we've got a pink, let's say, what are we going to need? Maybe a yellow. Oh no, I've spilled yellow beads everywhere. Oh well. Yellow, maybe a purple. Right, sorry, I should have been prepared with that. I'm just racing against the builder at the minute. Right, so I've trimmed mine as well. It was a bit too wildly big. So once you're through the back that side, what we're going to do is line our piece of fabric up, try and keep it straight, and we're going to come up through the middle of those beads there. I'll zoom in a tiny bit. I've got to keep my eye on that builder. If he starts with that power tool, I'm going to cut. So up through there, grab one of your seed beads, whichever colour you want. I'm using 11s, and hopefully they'll sit all nicely. And then go through the back, all the way through the backing, and pull that tight. So you're going to have your little bead sitting in the middle there. And then I'm going to come up here. Oops. As close as I can to that 8-0 there. Like so. And I'm going to go down this 8-0 bead. Oops. Down the bead. Sorry, I'm going to have to turn my work, so go down through that 8-0 bead there. And which beads you go down are going to be optional, so I think the 8-0s are easy to get down and they don't pull my pattern out of shape. So, and then when you come back out with the 8-0, just go back through the back like that and pull. Doesn't have to be too tight, you don't want to pull everything out of shape, but, and then we're going to skip through here. I'm going to come up next to that 8-0, coming in through the back and just pushing through like that. Again, up the 8-0, like so, trying to keep my work straight as I go, up through that 8. Uh-oh, here he goes, I'll be back in a sec. Right, then we go back down. What am I coming out of? Right, back out, back in to your work and poke it through the back. Just be careful not to tangle, you know, through, so that you're going over any beads and then you'll have a thread showing. Make sure you go through a bead and through the back. And then we're going to come up again through our next square, like so. Choose a bead. I'm going to put yellow in the middle of that one. And at this point, really, I mean, you can sort of start making your own mind up as to where you want to come up. So pop that bead into place like so, and then choose your next bead to come up out of. I'm going to go from this one to this one, to the middle, this one, the 8s to the middle, the 8s to the middle, and then I'm going to jump down, and I'm probably going to come through this one and to the middle, and then up to this one in the middle, up in the middle, up in the middle, and then this one in the middle. Do you see what I mean? And then we're going to do that all the way to the bottom, and by the time that you've done that, your work will be nice and secure. Don't do anything on these edges here. Do the beads here, because you're going to join another piece of bag, you know, your side panel, like that, which is why we want that extra flap, so that when it's got that gap and it bends, that's going to be covered with the backing. So go ahead and carry on. I've Don't risk it. He's gonna get that power tool out any minute and ruin my video. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I may even go up through this one here, through that one. In through that 8. It's proving to be a little tight, but that's fine. In through the 8. Directly back down into the work. And making sure you're not hooping over a bead so it doesn't show, look, and it's not, even when you give it a little tug, it's not you know, deforming, misshaping your work. And I'm going to jump across to here, to this one. Just turning things around so I can reach the bit I need. Go down that 8-0, like so. Pop that in through the back of your work. Across to the middle. Trying to come through as much in the middle as you can. Add your bead. This time I'm going to add a pink. You know, I could add a gold, make it contrasting, do whatever you want with your colours. Just make it look, you know, fun and prettier. In actual fact, I could do, I think I'm going to do a green to match with that one. Just try and make them match with your squares, you know. Put that one through and pull. There we go, pop that into place. So those little seed beads sit. How pretty does that look? So you're just going to carry on like that. And we're going to come up through the back, do this one, then this one, possibly this one, and then this one, and just work your way across. And it really doesn't matter what this looks like on the back, how messy it is, because once it's all joined together as a bag, this is all going to be trimmed up, and then there's going to be another inner bag. So you won't see this, and we'll trim that bag up at the top so that it won't, you know, it won't show. So go ahead and do that. Join all your pieces until you've got until you've got the front done, the back done, the 2 side panels, and your bottom panel, and they should all look like this, backed. The only one I've trimmed up tight is the bottom panel. The rest I've left a little trim. So go ahead and do that, and then we're on to the putting it together and making the handle. I'm not really sure if I'm going to have to split this into 2 videos yet, depending on how long it's going to get. So yeah, go ahead and do that next stage, and I'll meet you back when you've got all your panels put together like so. Right, and I'm not sure if I might end it here and then do a second video on putting the bag together and doing the handle, because I don't want it to be like 2 hours long. Otherwise it does make it really difficult to load to YouTube. So yeah, this could possibly be the end of this first part 1 if it gets too long. So if it is going to be the end of part 1, I will put part 2 in the description below, so you don't have to go and look for it. You just do this part of the video, go down to the description and click the link, and it will take you immediately to the second half. That's if I split it up, and if I do, see you in the next video. If I don't, I'll be back in a minute. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Okay guys, so I've looked at the time, and this is going to work out to be like an hour and a half long. So I'm going to stop the video here and make this part 1, and we'll come back and do part 2. So I've done that entire piece, look. You see all the little beads in the middle? That makes it, it's really nice. It's made it a lot firmer, so I think that's really going to help in holding the structure of the handbag together. So if you stuck with me so far, well done. I think it's absolutely worthwhile. It's not that difficult. It's just getting into the rhythm, and if you do a little bit, you know, at a time, it's yeah, it's not too, if I'd have made it 4 times the size, that would be a mammoth task, but because it's such a little tiny purse. I don't think it's going to be too difficult or challenging for any of you. Even a beginner, I think, could do it. So yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Just thought I'd show you that finished piece and look at the difference in how neat compared to the one where we didn't change the beads. Can you see? It's kind of bubbling up there. Whereas on these, they sit, look, really, really nicely. So yeah, well worth making that small change. So we'll leave it there. That's what you should have, all your pieces. That's going to be the front of the bag, that's going to be the bottom, and we've got the back to make, all joined together, and then the two sides, and back them all with your fabric, get them all ready so they're all in their pieces, and we'll put it together in the next video. So thanks for watching, and yeah, the part 2 will be in the description below this video, so just look on the description, click the link, and it will take you straight on to the next part of the video. It's not like you'll have to go and search for it on a playlist or anything. It'll be right there in the description. So yeah, well done guys, congratulations if you've made it this far. You are very, very close now to having your own very beautiful, gorgeous little handbag. I'll see you all in the part 2. Well, bye for now, thanks for watching. Bye, and do leave me a comment, any questions or anything like that. You know, I can let you know. I'm happy to answer questions. If you need any help or support with any of it, just yeah, give me a shout in the comments. Okay guys, thanks for watching, speak to you all soon. Bye for now. Don't forget, in the description, part 2 in the description.